Guys, Spider-Man No Way Home has received 3 golden tomatoes, so I just wanted to say a massive thank you on behalf of everyone from Sony and Marvel, the critics, the fans who have shown so much love and respect and support for our movies. It means the world, and, you know, hopefully we can do it again and again and again. But thank you, and we'll see you soon.
Continuing our Marvel Cinematic Universe content on this channel, we're going to talk about Spider-Man 4 today. The potential casting of Miles Morales has already happened, maybe. And then we're going to talk about some other tidbits to do with other MCU properties. So, yo, what is good, YouTube? What's you here? If you are new around here, make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the videos. It really does help the channel grow. If you hit that bell button, the notification button, if you hit that like button, if you subscribe, if you share, and if you comment everywhere in the comments section. So check us out on Instagram at warstew if you want to see the beautiful face behind the beautiful voice. Also check us out on Twitter, warstewg, because I've got like 12 followers over there, so I'm most likely going to engage you over there. So recently there's been some information about Miles Morales, the live action version of Miles Morales. Now, according to multiple insiders on the Twitter sphere, Daniel RPK, etc., the main narrative of Spider-Man 4 will essentially build up Miles Morales, and Tom Holland has also said recently in a multitude of interviews that he wants Miles Morales to come in and eventually take his place. So the alleged information coming from the inside sources is that Miles Morales will become friends with Spider-Man, Tom Holland, aka Peter Parker, during the whole movie of Spider-Man 4. But it's interesting of the apparent casting for Miles Morales himself. So Jaden Smith recently had an interview with Marvel, but there's no actual information about the role he went for, so people are just assuming that it's got to be Miles Morales. But what is more interesting to me is, I think over a year ago, information came out that Jaden Smith was up for Miles Morales' role. This was well over a year ago. Offhand, I know that because I made a video about it about a year ago. Can't remember when. I'm pretty sure it was this time about a year ago. And then what happens is Jaden's posting an image of him in the Spider-Man outfit, teasing it even more. Now, we know he could be trolling, he might not be trolling, but I think it's interesting that he did that, because whoever or whomever plays Miles Morales is about to be the biggest star in the world. Miles Morales, Into the Spider-Verse 1 and 2, the main star. The video game is one of the biggest selling PlayStation 5 games. Miles Morales is loved in the comics. And when I say this comment, people get really offended. No, Peter Parker is not more popular. I'm referring to comic book readers, not Marvel MCU fans. Miles Morales is just as popular in the comics as Peter Parker is. I'm not on about Tom Holland's version because there is no one else to compare him to apart from Andrew and Tobey, and we all know that everyone says Tobey Maguire is the #1 Spider-Man. Or is it Andrew Garfield? Or is it actually Warstew? But there's an even more wild rumor out there. Now, this is freaking, guys, this is actually insane. John Krasinski, aka John K, who everyone has fan casted to play Mr. Fantastic. Careful for spoilers, I don't want to ruin your life in case this turns out to be true, but we know he could be in Doctor Strange 2 playing a variant of Captain America, as he was actually up for the role of Captain America originally. Now, there is a rumor out there that he actually is gonna be Spider-Man somehow in Spider-Man 2099. Yeah, I know, it's a pretty wild rumor. It really is a pretty wild rumor. So that's it for the Miles Morales part of this video, but there's some other rumors about. Now, I find this one very strange, the timing of it, because it almost feels like, to me, you're just throwing it out there to throw it out there. So there is information going around that Sony is potentially looking at making a Spider-Man 2099 movie, but on the prerequisite. Sony is developing a live-action Spider-Man 2099 project across the Spideyverse. Reactions would depend on whether the film gets greenlit or not. Now, this is very interesting, and people will say Oscar Isaac should do it. Now, This is coming courtesy of Moth Culture, and I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt because they seem to be an alright source. But as I've said multiple times before, none of these scoopers on Twitter are any more credible than the other scoopers on Twitter. They all literally back each other up, so it's really hard to decipher which super Twitter duper scooper actually has real sources, because realistically they're all saying the exact same thing. Now that would be pretty cool, but it just seems to me that the Spideyverse is going to erupt because of how well Spider-Man No Way Home did. Sony just wants to throw everything at the wall, but I don't think every single version of Spider-Man should get their own movie, but you never know. Sony's it's grossed close to $1.6 billion, so you never know. They could be throwing everything at the wall. If Kraven the Hunter's getting his own project, if Jamie Foxx Electro is gonna get his own project, anything could and should and would be actually possible. So Tom Holland is playing this game with the media, and a lot of fans don't understand what he's doing. So Tom Holland sets himself a deadline for how long he can play Spider-Man. So essentially he is baiting Sony. It's a negotiation talk he's been doing. 1 minute he's like, yo, I'm done, I want to start a family. Next minute I want to play Spider-Man for the rest of my life. But he recently came out and said this. What I was basically trying to say that is, if I'm 30 and I'm still playing Spider-Man and I haven't passed on the mantle to my good friend Miles Morales or my sister Spider-Woman or something more diverse, then I have done something wrong in that sense of the duties I have to the character. So for context, he's currently 25 years old. We know he's at least going to be doing Spider-Man 4, but that isn't going to come out for the next 2 to 3 years, so he would be around 27 to 28. And if it follows the same pattern, then we get a Spider-Man solo movie, although they're not ever solo movies, are they? Because he can't carry a movie by himself. No offense, but that's just what happens. It will at least be 2 years until we get another Spider-Man movie. So yeah, Tom Holland is just basically baiting the media into thinking that he wants to give up. It's a negotiation tactic. It's all about the money. I hate to say it, guys. It's all about the money. Tom Holland isn't going anywhere. If we look at Uncharted, we have to see how well Uncharted does when it comes out. If you look at Cherry, the movie he did with the Russo brothers, as much as I like Tom Holland, his movies outside of the MCU, outside of the Spider-Man role, he tends not to do very well, and that's not his fault. It's generally the fault of the movie or the plot, but not generally actors. So recently, they revealed the script for No Way Home, and the script heavily hints at a live-action version of the Black Spider-Man, Miles Morales. So it says this: when Electro learns Spider-Man isn't black, he's bummed. He tells Peter, obviously Andrew Garfield, there's got to be a black Spider-Man out there somewhere. And in italics, almost knowingly, the script reads, there probably is. So there's so many hints that Miles Morales is actually coming to the MCU. Now, one thing that's very important about the final scene in regards to MJ. So the script is out there and it reads like this. As fans have pointed out on Reddit, it is written that MJ shows a flickering of deja vu on her face whilst talking to her former lover and best friend. As Peter leaves, the script then reveals that she watches him go with a lingering sense of recognition. The fact that MJ clearly recognizes Peter on some subconscious level, combined with the ambiguous question mark and the use of the word lingering, could very well tease the return of Zendaya's character in Spider-Man's life at some point or another. Marvel has yet to confirm the details of another Spider-Man movie, but realistically, I can't see the next Spider-Man movie not having Zendaya MJ or Jacob Ned in the movie. It's just interesting that Marvel has released this script, the screenplay, so to speak, after the movie comes out, because they don't normally do this kind of thing. So it is clearly telling you that the spell doesn't exactly work the way everyone thought it did. It's almost like you will still remember your memories with him subconsciously, but you just don't know that happened. But there's some subconscious level where you do remember something happening, or else she wouldn't have a lingering, flickering feeling, almost know him without knowing him, and having a slight Matrix 4 deja vu. So everyone's thinking that Tom Holland's Spider-Man was going to get a new love interest in the next movie, whether it be Gwen Stacy or something like that. But clearly, from that being in the script, it is so clear to me and a lot of other people that MJ Zendaya isn't going anywhere, and Spider-Man 4 potentially is going to be pretty cool if the whole narrative is built around Miles Morales Morales coming to the MCU. He's one of my favorite characters. I think it'd be dope to get him in the MCU or the Spider-Verse or any variants of that. So like always, guys, sorry it's being a bit of a slow video in terms of news, but I haven't done a Spider-Man updated video in such a long time. And recently in the news, Tom Holland has basically said he supports the decision and he wants Andrew Garfield to get TASM 3, and if Sony wants to go forward with that, he supports that. So I think this release TASM 3 is getting a lot more steam. But the question Andrew Garfield was asking is, where were you guys years ago? Where the freaking hell were you guys years ago? It's almost like everyone's fell in love with Andrew Garfield again after this movie, even though it wasn't his movie, even though he stole the spotlight away from Tom Holland. So like always, guys, check us out on Instagram at WarStew if you want to see the beautiful face behind the beautiful voice. Check us out on Twitter for WarStewG. Subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and share this video everywhere, and we'll catch you in another video very soon. Catch ya later.